This conference will now be recorded.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of sound.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Here.
Present.
Here. 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 Thank you. Councilman Wallen, I think, will be here shortly. Item number 4, consent agenda, approval of the minutes from January 26th and approval of statement of bills paid of $472, $923, and 57 cents.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Millat, a second from Councilman Schreiber. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Item number 5, requests or comments from the public. None. Moving right along to item number 6, consider resolution 2026-02, authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents to effect the option to purchase the project pursuant to the lease agreement in connection with the city's $15 million aggregate maximum principal amount industrial revenue bonds for JDC Edwardsville 1 LLC project series 2014.
Mayor, thank you. I'm going to introduce our bond counsel, Bridget Morse, to give the presentation.
Well, good evening. Thank you all for having us. Well, this is an exciting success story for the city. So these are industrial revenue bonds that were issued back in 2014. The company has fulfilled its obligations. The bonds have been issued. They have been paid. The company is up and running. The project is successful. As part of that process, when the bonds are issued, there's a lease and a lease back situation where the city owns part of the property. At this point in time, the city's obligation is up because the bonds have been paid. And so this is essentially executing documentation to give full rights to the property back to the property owner and to terminate anything else under the bonds. Are there any questions?
There being none, I'll hear a motion to adopt resolution 2026-02, authorizing the purchase contract.
Mayor, I make a motion for the City Council to adopt resolution number 2026-02, authorizing the execution and delivery of certain documents to effect the option to purchase the project pursuant to the lease agreement in connection with the city's $15 million aggregate maximum principal amount.
Second. A motion from Councilman Schreiber, a second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Schreiber.
Yes.
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 Item number 7. Thank you. Item number 7, consider authorizing the mayor to execute KDOT agreement number 565-25 for the E32 bridge replacement project.
Mayor, council, thank you. Item number 7, you have the background. This is a request from KDOT to have the mayor be authorized to sign the document. City's obligation in this project, which is, don't quote me, but a couple $1 million worth of construction work at 4th Street and K32. It's referred to as a bridge, but it's underneath the road. You don't see it, but it's a drainage over it, kind of thing. Just a great big one. We have $160,000 in contributions from the city, and that is for, if you look at Article number 3, Article 3, number 5, it talks about sidewalks. And then again, in Article number 4, number 11, it talks about sidewalks. And then throughout the document, it refers to the traffic signals. That's what our portion is we're primarily paying for the traffic signals and some of the work on the sidewalk. There's a portion that KDOT is already committed to, and I put a map that they provided on your desk right there, and that's That's a simple layout of that sidewalk, traffic light, construction area. So essentially, they're asking the mayor to be authorized to execute the document. We did talk about this, I believe, in early February. I get a brief on it, and that to give KDOT somewhat the thumbs up to proceed. And this is that final formal document committing $160,000. That comes out of the 4th Street project fund, and there's adequate funds to cover $160,000. The alternative is we do it on our own, and that's close to $500,000. This is a really good partnership, and Finish is the lead on that. They've done the design and all of the measurements and everything that goes with that. And so I would recommend that we allow the mayor to execute the document, and we commit $160,000 in related additional construction costs.
As I called you earlier, Mark, thank you for that map, because first time I've seen it, probably the first time anybody on the council has seen it, I'm presuming. My question is going to be, the red areas on this map are sidewalks that we're paying for, correct?
Correct.
And they are written into the plans,
Yes,
and that's like the $160,000.
that's correct.
Okay, and they said they would do land acquisition, like easement. Of course, they can do that on the easement on the highway, is that right?
That's correct.
So they can go ahead and do that where they don't have to deal with the property owners there. So this sidewalk is a certainty
Absolutely.
to the, I'm specifically to the.
It's part of the program, and it's in when the mayor executes this document, it is formally and official.
And that's specifically, when I'm looking at it, you know which one is to the dollar store.
Absolutely.
Okay, I wanted to make sure that that was on public record, that agreement is in this contract, so that does actually happen. And then can you explain a little bit about how the pedestrian crossing part will work?
As specified in some of the documents, the actual design and layout of that intersection will not change, and where the bridge crossing is will not change the placement. And so if you know where the crosswalk is now, it goes north-south on the west side of the intersection, and then crosses on the north side to the east. And then that sidewalk you'll see in red goes north. So that will remain in place. It'll just be improved and fully constructed.
And then we build sidewalk from their entrance to the sidewalk. Is that like a handicap entrance?
That 4th Street where there's no sidewalk, by the way, a crosswalk with no sidewalk.
Correct.
That will be all improved for handicap. All that accessibility will be designed on, it has to be 3. So north and south K32 at 4th Street on the west side, and then on the east side, on the north side of K32 at 4th Street.
So we're responsible for the red.
The red, we're paying for. We don't do any of the construction. We don't bid it. It's all part of this project. We're paying for it through this execution. Committing to it.
I'm thrilled for the sidewalks, but I'm not so thrilled about the highway being closed.
It's also indicated in the document that's their plan. It's been approved. So I just don't know if there's anything we can really do about it.
Are they going to kind of try and keep it, maybe it's not my business, but are they going to try and kind of keep us informed of timelines on closures, like from March to April, year to year, or whatever?
Yes, we've been included somewhat from the start, and that our project management responsibilities will be to have somebody at the table, either myself or the public works supervisor. Somebody from the city will be at all of those pre-construction meetings and construction meetings. So we'll be well informed.
Can you refresh my memory on when is this project supposed to happen?
I don't know the exact letting. Originally, they were talking about spring 27 start, but that could be earlier, could be this year. They just haven't no definite answer.
I think that's all my questions. But thank you for this information today. I appreciate seeing that.
We had talked about this before. I did reach out to Secretary of Transportation just to confirm, and he said that closing down the highway was the least bad option for the situation. And so, but I asked again just to be sure.
Appreciate that. You got a seat in there.
That seems to be the best answer too. It's just, there's no other way.
We did it without closing the highway.
I am. Couple of questions. When is this projected
Well, I don't know that it's fully designed. I saw some of the design, so that's a part of it. They got to go through somewhat wherever they have to, some sort of right-of-way acquisitions, utility movements. You can expect, if it's late this year or into next 2027, I would say it's probably more realistic, given my experience with some of the projects.
I remember in conversations, the request was made for if we could keep it open partially. But I believe they said with it being fully lit, it'll be quicker. It should be.
Yeah,
I mean, if that's a
that
plus.
seems to be the rationale. And I indicated some of that, the regional detour, 435, I-70, K7, and that's kind of they're fully responsible for setting that route up and establishing it formally. And so that is their plan. There's been no more discussions on the detour route because I think that was one of the first things they decided on, right? How we're going to divert the traffic. Now, locally, we have to decide, how do we get westbound? Okay, when 4th Street and K32 is closed, there is no way to go west without going clear around, like going east and then back all around town. And that was the whole purpose of, we had removed Pacific Street, that somewhat curved east and west, 4th Street to 3rd Street. And that's why Midwest Street was devised, is in Bank Midwest, which is now changing names, agreed to donate that property. Finish and PEC engineers both worked together to kind of coordinate the best kind of how that would go through that property and what it would kind of preliminary cost to get that done. But that would go through the bank property, as you see it now, more towards the slight angle, more towards the post office, because they own that property almost to the building.
Right.
And so what they would donate to us is a road that's 24 plus feet wide, a section that we could put a 24 plus wide road through there, and that it would be our road, maintain it, all that stuff. So they're willing to do that. Those discussions would be ramping up again because there's literally no way to go west. If there even is a major event at that intersection, they all cross private property, which is Bank Midwest. Their upper people were getting these reports from their local folks. And that's one of the first things they said, finally, somebody's going to do something about this, because we did have that lower road that was somewhat along the railroad, not owned by us, by the way. And so they took that out as part of that project, because if you know where the medians are on that improvement, as they come down the road, it goes down too far to have a southern road. So you have to have kind of a midway road, which would be Midwest Street. That's how we're going to try to fix that east-west movement. And it's not as costly as we think. Plus, acquiring the property is, so far, they've committed to donating.
What is the length of this project? Do they think?
I'm kind of guessing what I heard before, but it's going to be a while. By the time they dig that up and move stuff and get it, it's going to be a while. I'd say kind of the rule is 3 years. You've got some planning and all of this stuff, and then you got the next year right-of-way acquisition, utility movements, and then you get into that 3rd year of construction, and who knows how long that is. So I would say 15 to 20 months maybe, and that's the short version.
Hopefully we can.
Yes. Yeah, because if you envision it, that entire intersection is closed. You can't go. You're just going to be stuck. So we have to figure out how to get to Bonner Springs, if you think about that. And then we have ways to get east. So we just need that one improvement.
Do you think the church would let us purchase a temporary easement? That would go, they have a driveway on the west side of the building, and then there's access right off of 4th Street.
You're talking
May
on
not
the
be
north
busy.
side.
Through the church parking lot, you mean?
So then we have to deal, there is a complex right-of-way situation right on that corner. And the reason we know that fairly well is because we try to put our sign there. But we'd have to talk with KDOT. So you're thinking the same principle, maybe as you come southbound, you could go west.
Well, you wouldn't even go onto K32, you'd enter there, this is all, if you would be okay with it, but you would enter right across from High Street. They have driveway access back there, so you'd enter across from High, and then you'd exit on K32 on the west side of the church building.
They have their gate.
Yeah.
Up there.
So the suggestion would be to use High Street.
Well, there's no actual street there, it's across from High Street. Do you have the map?
Go up to, no, I don't, I'm sorry. Go up, so we're gonna go up Fifth Street.
It's talking about just coming where High Street is, just going right into the north side of the church parking lot. On the north side of the church to the west side of the church and then south on 32.
Okay, crossing here, which
Where
may
the
be some
gate goes,
drainage.
there's two gates, one goes up to the house, the other one's for the parking lot,
Okay,
which is
Yeah.
directly across from Third Street, I believe.
so we would carry all the traffic up the hill, which,
No, you're just,
well, the south of K32 is is the real problem, because you can go west northbound, right? But you have to go around the whole town if you're on the south side of K32.
I would just work the north side.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a possibility, because if you just went on High Street when it snowed, that thing is a terrible mess. Staff said we didn't want to use that as any kind of detour. It's just, number one, it's not very well maintained over the years. It's always difficult to treat, and we're gonna go into at least 2 winters probably of that route. We were trying to keep people off of Fifth and High.
Yeah, I was thinking more like that would be the north to west, and then we'd have from the south, if you're going west, that lane maybe by the Midwest.
Yeah, so that's a possibility. We could certainly talk to them whether or not, maybe we take the responsibility of that, is that we could get the southbound, if you don't want to go clear north and then come all around and go to Shawnee, for example, right? You could come south, straight down 4th Street, and then turn into that, and then come out of there. Maybe some of the proposal would be, we would replace the lot when it's done, or something to that effect, to make some
We
improvements.
probably want to set up some barriers of sort to keep, but I don't think the parking lot's very busy during the week,
It's not,
and then Sunday is not terribly busy, and it's just, of course, it would only work if they were interested.
yeah, absolutely. I could reach out if that's the council wants to do that. I can certainly do that. It's at least an idea, and maybe we can find some ways to make some improvements after it's all done.
We made it through 110th. We found a way, so.
Yeah. I do know there's a little bit of complexity with that right away, but that's KDOT, so that's who we're talking to, so maybe we can figure that out.
If not,
There wouldn't be oncoming traffic from east.
okay. Not, I'd ask for a motion for council to authorize mayor to execute KDOT agreement number 565-25 for the K32 bridge replacement project. I guess with a cost up to $160,000 for participating project construction costs related to new trucks.
kind of hate to, but I'm gonna make the motion to approve or execute KDOT agreement number 56525 for the K32 bridge replacement project. City's involvement to be $160,000.
We have a motion from Councilman Malat, a second from Councilman Everhart. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yes, you're gonna.
Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Item number 8, your presentations on the 2025 departmental activities.
Yeah, Mayor, Council, thank you. We have Chief Rance Quinn is going to lead off Police Department annual report. Something we've done for years and years now. And the staff was excited about to present it in person rather than just giving you a document. Turn it over to Chief Quinn.
Great, Mayor, council members, good to see you guys this evening. I'm here to present the annual report for the police department. And we'll start off, does this work? Oh, it's pretty good there. I've already switched it over. All right, so there's a lot of words on this. I'm not going to read them all because I kind of go over everything in the next slide. But what I want to highlight here is that in addition to proactive policing measures, the department engaged with the community through several initiatives, community outreach. I'll go into that more on the next slide. We hosted Waterfest where we had over 350 attendees. The majority of the police department was victims of the Duncan Comp tank. I think I'm still coughing up water from that. We assisted community dinners, organized clothing drives, manned a booth at the Potato Fest. We really kind of like stepped up our community outreach as far as social media platforms go and increased face-to-face positive interactions. We also implemented new GTAC equipment. GTAC is our new body-worn cameras, laptops for in the cars and in-car cameras. So that's been a few hurdles here and there, but we've really liked the new technology. We appreciate your support in getting that equipment last year. All right, so some of the community outreach things that we did here, I kind of talked about some of those. I'll just highlight a few. We went to the Edwardsville Elementary several times, participated in various events there, from the career day to the school safety thing that Sergeant Brooks put on. And, all of that was very well received. We participated in dinners that we helped. The mayor was present for that. We helped to give out or hand out some meals to the parents and the kids there. That was a good thing. We participated in the penguin plunge. Some of our staff, luckily I missed that day, jumped into the Lake of the Forest lake there, and we actually outraised our sister city to our west for the funding for that event, and so that was good news for our department. And many other events that we took place or participated in, to include at the very bottom there, you'll see that created the Proudly Support sticker, and I brought some of those with me, but I have an interesting story to tell on that. At some point last year, we had a citizen come into our department. He says, I really appreciate you guys' efforts that you do with the police department. One of your officers found my garage door open overnight. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. They came and made contact with me and allowed me to shut my door. Didn't even realize I left it open. Do you guys have some sort of sticker, something that I can put on my residence or in my car to show that I support your police department? And at the time I was like, no, we don't, but however, what a great idea. And so we created this Proudly Support sticker here that people can put on the front of their houses, they can put on their cars. And I brought some extras in case anybody wanted to display that on your houses or your cars. So let me know if you want some of those. All right, some personnel changes that we had. I'm sure you're aware, we had a few leave us to go on to bigger and brighter things on their ideas. So with that, we filled a deputy chief role. I brought her with me here tonight. We have new deputy chief, Michelle Angel. I wanted to introduce her to all of you. So if you see her smiling face and you need something from our department, not only can I help you, but she can assist as well. So welcome aboard, Deputy Chief Angel. Michael Ard, back room back here. He was a sergeant. He was promoted to captain. We really appreciate his willingness to step forward and kind of take on additional responsibilities and his position as captain. I realize that the actual hirings of these took place this year. However, all of that began last year, so that's why I shared it this time around here. One thing I wanted to highlight that was good for us, even though it's kind of in the wrong place there, would be our K-9 officer who's been doing great work, Officer Adams. He went down to Mississippi, if I can say that easily, and participated in some training down there and took 3rd place. And so that was great representation from the city of Edwardsville to take 3rd place in a different state in a K-9 training program. So that was great. Some officer awards. Officers McCullough and Clark received Officer of the Quarter awards. Officer of the Year was Captain Michael Hart, who also stands in the back. That was nominated by all of the officers, and he came out on top. So great recognition by them for him. Sergeant Brooks received a command coin for his community outreach program and the efforts that he does with that. If you haven't seen Sergeant Brooks out and about, he is a great tool for us to do positive interactions in community outreach. Sergeant, now Captain Hart and Corporal Gully received command coins for their efforts. If you remember the ATM skimmer cases that we had at the first part of last year, those kind of held over from 2024 and into 2025, and we gave them command coins for recognition for the great work that they did on that. Officer Ortego, he was our UC, if you will. He was the one that discovered or saw our suspects show up on the scene and begin to manipulate the ATM, and he radioed our uniformed personnel who showed up, and a brief chase ensued. Unfortunately, the suspects got away up off of Riverview, but they left some identification behind, and we were able to investigate that, and we ended up issuing warrants. And the suspects were eventually taken into custody in St. Louis, and they had like a $250,000 bond. So that was great. They were foreigners that were here doing this throughout the entire metropolitan area, and I assume across the state. So that was good work by them. And then we hired Officer Kirsten Kelly, or Kirsten Casey, for our department as well. So we appreciate her coming on board. All right, so we're going to go over some stats, incident numbers by year. What this is actual reports that our officers have taken. We got a case number by us, and we actually completed a report on that. As you can see, we had 1,760 reports this year, slightly higher than last year. These are the time of day that the majority of these reports are taken. You see the majority of them are what I would say day shift hours from roughly 8 to 5. But that doesn't mean that the crime occurred during those hours. So that's something we kind of have to fine line between having more people on days or more people on nights, because people wake up, they find their car broken into, or something happened overnight and they phone the next morning, and then our personnel go and take those reports. So that's kind of why it's skewed that way. Calls for service. These are by month. As you can see, that once we start getting into warmer months, nicer weather, people are coming out and about, and that creates more calls for service. And so you'll see in March, April, it kind of ramps up, goes through the summer, and then start to tail off again for the winter. The drop that you see there in June, CAD, TCKPD, was down for about 3 weeks, and so the numbers there in June really don't accurately reflect what took place over the summer. You have to see that here. So if you compare 2024 total calls for service to 2025, you can see that 2024 appears to be down. However, that's kind of an anomaly because the CAD was out of service, like I stated. So we're missing probably 1,000 calls, give or take, during that time period. All right, incident comparisons by year. These go by crime type. I highlighted 3 here. Property crime, you can see we've had a reduction in property crime from 2024 to 2025. We've had a reduction in persons crime, and we've had an increase in drug-related arrest. That really, it might not look good on the slide, but that's good for us because our K9 went into service roughly March to May, somewhere in there, and it was actually out on his own. And so we're able to use the K9 more often to do air searches on vehicles, and our people have began to utilize that tool more, and it's led to an increase in drug. All right, crime index, and so what this does, it kind of shows the trends throughout the year. As you can see, we went down again in 2025. This can change a little bit because the numbers aren't in concrete yet, because the KBI doesn't really post that until March-ish, give or take. However, they were able to kind of give me the numbers ahead of time so we kind of see where we're at. As you can see, we continue the downward trend. Hopefully that'll continue this year, but fingers crossed. All right, these are our citations written by our officers. In 2025, we had roughly 2 officers for a period of time that we had open positions, and so you take their numbers and you were to add to that, we probably 24, 25 would be roughly about the same. I will say though that in 2025 or 2026 now, we're starting out with some more vacancies, and so we'll probably have that same issue when we come to January of next year and presenting this report. The orange there is the citations actually written, and the blue is warnings given by the officers. You can see the totals down below 2025. Rest by year, 2025, we were down from 2024 just a little bit, nowhere near 2022. So that's a good thing. Probably relates to the crime rate as well. Everything continues to go down, and the arrests is good. All right, our code enforcement. As you can see up there, we got them divided by district on the top chart. In the upper right-hand corner, I'm not going to read all that. In the upper right-hand corner, it kind of displays where each district is. You can see that 1 and 4 appear to be our leaders in code enforcement. 1 being south of K 32 that does not include the mobile home park, and number 4 meaning the mobile home park. You can see where we spend a lot of types of code enforcement. The environmentals, that's kind of like trash in yard, people, leaving things, cars broken down, that sort of thing, and inoperable vehicles lead the way. Code enforcement. And then codes by year, 2025, we were 1 off in 2024. So 324 versus 325. And that's all I have. So if you have any questions, I'm here to take those.
I just have to say, what in the world was going on in 2022?
Chief?
I've slept since then,
Just
maybe
caught my
once.
eye. I know.
It was-
Right? No, I know that, but what the world?
I think we were really coming off COVID and all of
Yeah.
that stuff, and it just opened the floodgates. It was bizarre.
I mean, I kept looking. I'm like, what in the world? It's like double. Wow.
Let's hope we don't get back there.
Right.
No.
People were let out.
Anybody like a sticker?
Yes, yes. A couple of comments too. My family, we've had a knock on the door for the garage, so I appreciate that.
I have it.
Appreciate that.
A couple of times.
We have a couple of times, yes.
And I've seen police officers go by on my camera. No, I mean, no, they haven't knocked on my door to tell me that it was open. Yeah, but, yeah.
Chief, yeah, I would like to talk about codes just a little bit. How are
Yes, sir.
codes? How do you do codes? Are they basically reported, or is it a drive-by, I observe a code violation? Or
Both of those. So meaning we have our officers who are actively out searching for anything and everything, and if they see code complaints, we expect them to take enforcement actions on those. And then Mr. Haas, Tom Haas, our CSO, is also actively following up on either something reported by the officer or something reported by the citizens.
what, you have off the top of your head what a percentage of a fix-it ratio would be? If you give a citation, how does the fix-it work? Do they usually cooperate pretty well?
Oh yeah, so we're looking for compliance. We're not looking for hard justice, that sort of thing. And so what we do is that we give them the option. We make contact with them first and say, hey, this code violation here, we would like for you to address that. We'll give you a short time in order to do that. And if not, then we go back a second time, like CSO Haas might go back and he has to then issue a citation or give them a second warning, say, look, I'm serious this time. You need to address this or we're going to issue a citation. And typically, I don't have a percentage off the top of my head, but I would say a high percentage usually will address whatever issue it is.
And the other thing, would that be reflected, or I guess the question would be, why the low numbers that you had, and you said the CAD system was down?
Yes.
Are there things that happen that aren't recorded or recorded in that CAD system?
For about 3 weeks there, yes.
Are they back in there now? It's
No.
not something that could come
No,
back.
that data was lost. And when I say CAD system, that is what the calls for service that go into KCKPD. That doesn't affect our system at all. That only affects like the number of calls that they tell us that we went on in which we didn't do a report. We can capture the data on our end if we did a report.
I guess that's what my question is. We're not losing the reports.
No, not at all.
That's what my question is. Okay, that answers it. Thank you.
Great.
No, I wanted to thank you for all your hard work, all of your staff. I have my husband and I, we go walk down at the park, and several times we see Neo down there with Adams working.
Great.
Working down in the field, and so many times, you want to go up and say hi, but don't bother anybody while they're working, so.
Carefully, right?
Right, very carefully. So, no,
Great.
proud of you and proud of the department.
Thank you very much. I would say Officer Adams is a friendly person, and he has fairly decent control with the dog, and so don't be scared. You say, maybe ask ahead of time, say, hey, may I approach you and your dog? He's liable to do that. So don't be fearful of our people. I want people to be able to come up and talk to them and have goodwill.
Thank you.
I feel like it's been a positive year for the community and our police department. Just that relationship seems to keep improving with positive interactions with our officers and having more of a presence in community events, school events, and things like that. So the community has noticed that. So we're moving in a good direction.
Thank you.
Thank you for your leadership.
Good job. Thanks.
Thank you. Chief Tim Little, for the fire department. I think you've got a handout, right?
Yes. So apparently, you're not the only ones that left the garage door open multiple times. You got to knock on the door at 2 o'clock in the morning either. So don't feel bad.
Yes.
I'm the only one that doesn't get a knock on the door, just don't close the door.
I think what we got is
Let-
we've had garage doors all made with the same frequency code. Right. Somebody that lives close by hits their garage door.
My kids
Goes
just
up,
forget to
down.
close the garage
Yeah.
door.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Mayor, good evening. In front of you is a small packet. It's not the entire slideshow presentation, but it is the talking points of some of our presentation tonight that will be released on social media tomorrow. So if you have neighbors that ask and say, hey, what did you talk about tonight? Those are going to be distributed tomorrow on social media. As the fire chief, I'm tasked with providing the fire and emergency medical services for the residents and guests of our community. There are times when fire chiefs are tasked with positions to look at the good for the community overall. It can be confrontational with those that are in the community, and it may not be popular at times, but I take this job seriously, and I'm providing everyone's voice for this. In 2025, again, the EFD prioritized the emphasis to do our part in providing a safe community by aligning all of our missions and directives in accordance with the direction from the city manager, with the efforts derived upon 3 purpose-driven priorities: citizen benefit, governing body benefit, and then organizational operational benefits in planning, decision-making, and delivery of services. In addition to our typical operations this past year, the department engaged with the community through several initiatives. One, we continue to focus again as well, like the police department, on our community outreach. Chief Quinn asked me, because we moved to Waterfest 2.0, that he had a little bit of a problem. We laid out almost 1,000 feet of hose so we could sit there and have Waterfest 2.0. With that was also the Dunkin' Cop booth. Somehow the fire chief got his arm twisted into participating in the Dunkin' Cop booth. So he sat there and swallowed some water, and so did I. Again, we assisted with and planned 2 community dinners in Spooky Express. Participated and helped with the mayor's tree lighting ceremony. Assisted with Potato Fest. We utilized our social media account. We increased our face-to-face positive interactions as well. Being the voice of the department tonight, though, I get to be the voice for the men and women of the Edwardsville Fire Department to highlight the following material as a summary of our success in 2025. We sat there and reported 1,504 calls. That is a 14% increase compared to 2024. Out of that, 180 calls differential, with 87 of those calls being in the city of Edwardsville proper, not from the automatic aid or mutual aid agreement. I'm sorry, 93 calls in Edwardsville, 87 of those to the neighboring cities of KCK and Bonner Springs, which I will cover in this later slide. 75 of those calls were for fires. That could be car fires, grass fires, any type of general fire with a concept there. We ran 1 explosion or overpressure, which was a incident in the industrial park. We ran 70% of our calls were EMS-based calls, over 1,000 EMS calls in our community. We ran 26 hazardous conditions, 115 service calls. These are usually our malfunctioning alarm systems or smoke detectors, CO alarms, investigations for COs. We also ran 92 good intent calls. This is somebody calling in illegal burns, not knowing what they're seeing in the smokes. Then we've had 90 or 69 accidental or false alarm trips in detection systems. We had 17 special incidents that can be classified as standing by to assist PD. And then we had no code available because of our new RMS system and the new national data tracking system did not provide codes that we could line up to 74 of our calls. They just go as a no code requirement. But over the last 4 years that we trended, we saw in 2021 that we were at 1,252 calls. 2022, I didn't put the data in here because it was extremely skewed as well, was a jump to to about 1,300 calls. And that was, again, because we were coming off of COVID. That was one of the underliers. 2023, we stabilized back out at 1,196 calls. And then last year, we ran 1,324 calls. But in 2015, my first year here, we ran 896 calls in an entire year. So we have almost doubled the number of calls that this agency has ran in a little over a decade. We are looking at this chart here with a 5-year trend of a national average, which is a standard of a 5% increase. This past year, the nation's average was a 7% increase in calls. This city, as well as most of our neighboring departments in Johnson and Wyandotte County, had a 14% increase in call volume for fire and EMS services. This is a lot has to do with the dependence upon EMS for primary health care purposes and an aging population. You notice we did not have a population increase to sit there and justify a 14% increase in call volume. When we look at our calls per zone, 507 of them are south of K32, west of 9th Street, O-Town. With the large majority of those calls being 531, 749, 750, 751 West Street, our most at-risk population of the community. Zone 2, north of K32 and east of 102nd. Zone 3, north of K32, west of 102nd. That 110 calls, for 210 calls in that jurisdiction, 130 of those are interstate based for the call ramps or call drive. That data is not true of the entire Northland population. We sit there and also look at Zone 4, the mobile home park. Had a decrease in calls from the year prior. Zone 5, south of K32, east of 9th, industrial park, 73 calls. Zone 6, aid to Bonner Springs Fire Department, 167 calls. Zone 7, aid to KCKFD, 284 calls. Zone 8 calls were classified as 9 calls. Our average response time was 5 minutes and 11 seconds. For the EMS calls on a national average, it recommends a response time of 7 minutes for a medically trained provider to reach somebody. We are at 5 minutes, 11 seconds, down from 5 minutes, 51 seconds. We do not run emergent on a lot of our calls in our city because they're low acuity medical calls. We are still beating the national average in recommendations, the majority of our calls. When we look at the breakdown of when we are called back, for myself and the deputy chief, who's also with us tonight, we are looking at 137 times that I've returned, 221 times that he has returned. Some of these calls are in our city and some of these calls are outside of our city. I made 12 calls over to Bonner Springs, made 20. I made 104 in Edwardsville, he made 147. There is a difference in his calls of returning to the city for 147 because he is also providing a ALS level of care to back up our paramedics. He sits there several times, comes in for full cardiac arrests, complicated ventilation cases, shortness of breath calls because of the extra paramedic that may be needed. Kansas City, Kansas, I made 21, he made 54. Out of those, 92% of the calls that I made were responding with other EFD units to other jurisdictions. He made those calls 93% of the time. We sit there and pride ourselves if we're sending our units to go to another municipality to call, that we provide our assistance with them as well. So we have smooth operations with the county operations plan. Mutual aid and automatic aid process. Every time we've sat there and made these calls, we look at the fact that we want to sit there and have smooth operations with our neighbors and provide oversight for our crews and help our crews out. Also, at the same point in time, we go home at 5 o'clock at night. We want to make sure that our community is safe. We want to ensure that there's a chief officer that comes back for all of our major calls in our city, not be relying upon a shift captain who can very capably do their job, provide that oversight here in the city as well. This year, Captain Stafford took over with the inspections again, and I will break down what he had there. But our training is documented as increased. We We spent a lot of time on training with our mutual aid and automatic aid partners at KCK and Bonner Springs. We spent time training on multiple company evolutions and specialized rescue situations. We did recertify all of our EMS personnel, did recertify all of our wildland personnel. We did commercially or inspect 61 commercial properties as required by the fire code. We had 6 memorandum of understandings with the state fire marshal's office for properties that we inspected. We inspected 2 fireworks stands. We also worked with the new state fire marshal on issues pertaining to small communities with fire code enforcement. And then we established similar guidelines with the working with Bonner Springs Fire Chief for the new fire inspector's position, which is the same as ours, which uses a part-time employee. The automatic aid statistics for Wyandotte County. When we sat there and looked at this 2 years ago, everybody was concerned we were going to sit there and have a large spike in the number of calls we made. That is not happening. For the aid received, we received help 311 times, 56%, compared to the times that we went out to assist everybody 242 times, which means that we needed help more than our neighbors did. That's because of our increasing call volume. We had more backed up, double and triple calls that were required. But if we look at it, we had 271 times that we had to have an EMS unit come assist us. 19 times we had traffic accidents we required assistance on. 8 of those were structure fires. 13 times we called for assistance and then canceled them while they were en route. We went out 169 times to provide assistance to our neighbors for an ambulance. We responded to 16 traffic accidents to assist them. We went to 14 fires and we were canceled en route for an ambulance 43 times. We went to Shawnee 4 times and 9 other calls to another agency. When we look at the total changes from aid from Bonner Springs, 2024 to 2025, we netted 21 additional calls. We netted 66 additional calls for the same time period with KCK Fire Department. Total change for all automatic aid calls only went up 87 calls in the entire year. So this is always being monitored with all 3 chiefs. It's always a discussion when we meet every quarter to ensure that no one agency is being manipulated or used more than anybody else, to ensure that there's free, open discussion, and it ensures that we are set there and utilizing every resource available to the appropriate level. The train delay continues to be another hot topic. 48 times we were caught by no stop trains. We were caught 12 times responding to, and a transporting delay of 36 times. Our average delay was 54 seconds. Right? That's 3% of our time for the train delays. When we sit there and have a train delay, I reported to the dispatch center for Union Pacific, which is based out of North Platte, Nebraska. When we sit there and have a train stoppage on a track that goes over an hour, that is because there is a train stoppage order nationwide. That means there is something that has caused either a car playing chicken with the train, somebody has ran in front of a train, somebody shut down a section of tracks, or anything that causes an entire network shutdown of the trains. We cannot control that. Our dispatch center in Nebraska for crew exchanges tries to sit there and keep our crews off of blocking all 3 intersections. So when we sit there and see a train stoppages involving all 3 sections, usually our local train crews are not the train operators, because our local train crews will try to sit there and clear at least one of our intersections to keep us open. But there are times that the unavoidable happens. So we try to sit there and make contact with that dispatch center to see what is going on and how long there's going to be a stoppage for that long term. But to sit there and actually have a delay of a stop train, we've not had it sit there been documented in our RMS. It is one of those specialized characteristics that we track because it is a hot topic. Wildland Fire Team sat there and made several calls in 2025. 4 of those were out-of-state deployments. The South Isle Fire in Gates Center, Kansas in March, and the Douglas County Fire in Compton, Kansas in April. And then we sent crews of just personnel, Pine Top, Arizona in June, The China Glacier Fire in Valdez, Alaska in July, the Dixon's Pond Fire in Sprague, Washington in August, and the Windy Rock Fire in Drummond, Montana in August, and the La Plata and Stoner Mesa fires in Cortez, Colorado in August and September. So when we sit there and look at that, we billed and received $106,081.66 in our wildland fire response. Two of those responses in Kansas, we sent the engine out on with those, and we could bill. We used a mixture of full-time and part-time personnel on all those fires. That team also sits there and works with the Parks and Recreation Department for improvements. If anybody's been down around River Park, sit there at the picnic tables and see the river now. We are going to start continue to work on walking down the walking trail towards the bend down here at 4th Street to continue to clear out. We are going to sit there and mitigate more trees and brush from the main walking trail on the back side of the main city park. Continue to work on until we get a lot of the dead and diseased trees out. And then we also supported the Johnson County Community College and the Eastern Kansas Spring Wildland Fire School, serving as instructors and providing space for outdoor sessions. And we'll repeat the same thing in late February again this year. We received just shy of $200,000 worth of grants. 2025. $188,995.66. We received a craft grant for a transport ventilator at $15,671. Firehouse sub grants to replace all of our thermal imaging cameras at $27,898. Memorial Foundation for Firefighter Escape Systems at $26,438. Safer grant from the Firefighters Association for Kansas for firefighter PPE, $38,163. The AFG grant that you approved for firefighting hose nozzles and appliances, $73,000. Kansas Forest Service grant for $7,824 for our VHF handheld radios for wildland fire PPE. That's unheard of. That's a lot of money that did not have to come out of the general fund from the taxpayers. But we do have staffing concerns that are still affecting us today. United States Fire Administration NFPA identifies staffing level 1.78 firefighters per 1,000 people. In a community our size, 4,800 people, we should have about 8.54 firefighters per shift. We have 5. 2015, when I arrived here, we had 4 full-time firefighters per shift. We ran 4 volunteers per shift on the ambulances at the time. In 2016, we lost the DOL challenge based on our volunteers. We hired a 5th full-timer on each shift and lost our volunteers at that point in time. Our minimum staffing every day is 5 firefighters, and our maximum number of firefighters assigned to the shift are 5. We transferred our volunteers over to a part-time position. We hired them at $14.50 an hour. 2026, 10 years later, we still hire part-time firefighter EMTs at $14.50 an hour. Right. We are working towards 1710 and 1720 staffing with the automatic aid agreement of putting the number of firefighters on scene within the proper number of minutes, not trying to achieve the 4-person per apparatus staffing requirements. But the other thing that is concerning is we have 3 firefighters with 15 years of experience or more that are eligible to retire any day, because that is over 22 years that all 3 of those have. We have 5 that are between the 5 and 15 years experience, and 7 that are 0 to 5 years. 2 that started today. 2 that started today from our part-time pool. Our part-time pool is pulled from the Johnson County Community College students. It has been very good to us for 10 years. We sit there and bring them in, train them, and a lot of times they want to stay on as part-time employees after they get hired at another full-time department. The problem is you can go work at Home Depot for $21 an hour. We're also some of the firsts. We're the youngest EMS agency in Wyandotte County. We've only been in the EMS business since 2014. We were a contract service before that. We're the baby provider in EMS for a number of years. But we're the first in several initiatives that provide life-saving measures to patients. We're the only agency carrying cyanide antidote kits for firefighters and civilians that may be caught in construction fire. We are also the only agency with a portable comprehensive ventilator. We were the first EMS agency in Wyandotte County to utilize IV pumps, video laryngoscopes, and a point-of-care ultrasound. So in a little over 12 years, we've made big strides, big changes. The smallest recognized community in Wyandotte County. Now, I take pride in the men and women that take pride in leading the charge with that. At this time, I'll take any questions that you guys may have.
Railroad delays with K-32 closing. Have you researched what kind of an issue that's going to cause for bonds?
To go north, we're going to, as soon as they close it, we are just going to go around 435. If it's anything to the east side, if it's going to be able to go up 98th Street to shorten it up, we will go that way. We will probably quit utilizing the Quint and cut through the parking lot of the post office, to be honest with you, put us back in the smaller pumper to go westbound. I'm an emergency vehicle, and I have no problem cutting through the parking lot to utilize it that way.
You're always proactive on that. I appreciate it.
And like I said, if I see a train sitting right there, we are going to sit there and also call for probably Bonner Springs to start heading that way, because they're going to beat us every time of the day with the train sitting there. Yeah. Yeah, we've already started those talks with Chief Zebo with Bonner Springs.
That was a big question I had, because we have so many complaints from people that live north of 32, how protected up there and all that. This is just going to make it worse for that rumor mill to be out there.
Honestly,
With your 511 response time, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
honestly, if there's not a train on tracks, we're going to cut over to 98 and cut up to the north end from there. It's not going to be a huge delay that they're not going to see a difference at all. You know, and it may be to the point where we sit there and light up lights and sirens on minor calls just to get across K-32, because of having to cut through the neighborhoods down here to work around the bridge. That's already been planned on by myself, Deputy Chief Mellon, looking at maps. There's going to be automatic CAD features put in down at the dispatch center, so they may sit there and double up responses, going from anything from Lake to the Forest, coming in from the west end side to start Bonner's resources until we can get there.
I think when that project starts, probably better get on social media and inform pretty much what's going on. And a lot of your statistics here should ease a lot of a lot of confusion. How's it gonna? Can you go like 25 words or less on this wildfire thing that you do? Is that an advantage for our firefighters, or is it specifically to gain grants? Or I never really understand.
Both. So I went for 20 days. The city gained $14,000 off of my deployment alone after my hourly wage, just on my overtime, because I'm an exempt employee. The normal hourly employee is a 1-for-1 for each hour and each overtime hour worked, but we make money off their per diem that they don't utilize every day that they're on a deployment. That engine that sits over there can make up to $30,000 for a deployment and probably have less than $5,000 in expenses for each deployment.
Curious about that for quite a while to see what that program really is. So.
Myself and the city manager have been having discussions about how that's going to be moving forward. We have two brand new firefighters that started today that are probably going to be the ones that replace me here in the next couple of years. We just have that problem with the engine bosses. It takes about 8 years to get that engine boss qualification in. I can't be gone all the time just chasing fires, or there's no need for me to have a job. There's no need to have a fire chief. But we're recognizing the importance of the benefit to the city, and we're working through a comprehensive plan on both sides that still fall on the three directives that he's guided with us.
Thank you. Thank you for your efforts, and the improvements that you've made, like at the riverfront down around the park, are just exemplary. There's lots of compliments out there for your efforts on that, so appreciate that very much. I might come down and throw the ball at the dunk tank this summer.
May not be in it this time around. 2 years ago, Chief Quinn asked if it increased the water temperature was a little cold that day. So I did provide heated water that year.
The penguin plunge, I think, is the 3rd of March, Chief. Yeah.
I have a dry suit.
Your name's been mentioned.
We have a dry suit. You won't get cold.
We have defibrillators and all of the life-saving equipment right here on the truck. Can do that too. Thank you.
Chief, I'd like to thank you too for all your efforts. Your report is outstanding. The grant money itself, almost $200,000.
The majority of it is sitting over here against the wall, and he doesn't want me to sit there and say a lot of it is his responsibility.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Thank you. Thank you so much. I know success can be talked about right there at the podium, but I'm sure you have a large group surrounding you and helping with that. The mutual aid has proven to be, I think, something I think 5-10 years ago we didn't think would ever happen. So that's proven to be a safer.
10 years ago, 4 of us would be sitting on a structure fire trying to figure out how long it would take
Right.
the volunteers from Bonner Springs to show up. And we'd
I
get
didn't know how to
3 or
word
4.
that, but who would have thought in 10 years 10 years ago we would be here right now. So, no, thank you so much. And the park down by the river looks amazing. And I know Public Works does a great job, but I know that the fire department has helped out, not only there, but at other places in the city as well. So thank you for everything you do. Thank you so much.
I just doing a little quick math here on the grant funding that you guys have brought in for our city. That's 1.5 mils over the last year. That's significant, and that means a lot to our taxpayers. We know we can't always rely on grant funding. I know we're bringing in revenue for wildland fires. It also seems like maybe a good recruiting mechanism as well for the young people coming in. I would love to have the full presentation on how we can expand that and the possibility of bringing more revenue into the city through that program to help when some of these grant funds might not be available, so that we don't have to put that on the tax base if possible.
I will work with the city manager, and we will work something out on that. That can be something that's just as simple as an executive memorandum that could be highlighted on that.
I'd like to.
We'll get an executive memorandum out to cover the 3,000-foot view of it and let you make a decision on how you want to proceed from there.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Item number 9, consider a motion to recess into executive session pursuant to KSA 4319B1 to discuss matters of non-elected personnel related to the position of the city manager. This includes members of the governing body. I would say to return at 7:30.
Make a motion to recess into executive session. Ooh, do I need to say all of that?
I think you say so.
To return at 7:30. So moved. Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Shriver, second from Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Is it on? Second. Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion to return to executive session for 15 minutes. To include just a governing body. Yes.
Yes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Second. Motion, Councilman Shriver, second, Councilman Adcox. Will the clerk please call roll?
Yes.
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 Okay. Sorry, I lost my page. City manager report.
Yeah, very quickly, Parks, Public Works, and Court presentation next time, if that's okay. Josh has requested that our clerks make a presentation of some of the data on his behalf. And the others shouldn't be very long, so that'll work. The goals we talked about extensively previous meeting, I'm working on those. Also, it was mentioned by more than one about kind of a code of conduct for the audience and some of the security measures that, what are we doing security wise, that sort of stuff. I'm working on that. There are some good examples out there of others who have adopted a short list of code of conduct for audience participation and things like that, and some of the security measures that we could put in that we do have a file with the Attorney General's office that had to be filed some years ago. And that's why we have this security detail here as our Sergeant of Arms. And that security plan could be very easily updated to where we may just position our security officer more up front. And we've done that before in the past after the start of the meeting, once the kind of the audience goes through. Perfect example, if you watched KCK, they always, that UG commission always has somebody up front. We just don't have two people. So maybe that's something we can do. But I'm looking at all of those things of just preventative strategies. That's all. But it was kind of mentioned that there was some concern, and it's been mentioned before too. So working on those things and working on some of the goal setting stuff that we talked about. That's what.
Councilman Muller. Councilman Everhart.
No comment.
Councilman Malat.
This is one everybody left, but NBH Bank, he said something about the bank changing names. It is changing name. It won't be Bank Midwest in the near future, but it's still NBH Bank. They're rebranding to Vista Bank, so they all have the same name in Texas, Oakland, everywhere they are. It's not that they're changing anything except the branding of the name. So if you bank there, and there is a new branch manager up there, young man named Jared Dorr. I think he's like 26 or 27 years old. Really a dynamic young man. Of course, in my old man old stuff that I do, I took him out, drove him around Edwardsville for a couple hours last week, and showed him Old Town, Industrial Park, some of the developments and all of that. So I made him familiar with the surroundings where he is. So that's appreciation. Be nice if you could drop in and introduce yourself to him or something. Also, we got $10,000 grant at the school from the company that's supposed to be saving battery or saving power. I don't know that much about the company, but I feel like we stole $5,000 from KCK and $5,000 from Leavenworth County on a company that's going to build two projects there. They gave Edwardsville School a $10,000 grant from that. I got raked over the coals with the chamber for that. It's like we were taking some kind of a bribe. Well, it's not a bribe if it's not not building it here. It's not a bribe, but we got money from them. So there's an informational meeting on that with the Chamber of Commerce tomorrow. I think with that, my time left. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Muller. Councilman Shriver.
We're gonna have to add tour guide to the end of your resume. I like that. No, I really like that. I mean, how welcoming that is for that.
That's
But
what
I'm gonna call him a kid.
wow. He grew up in Lenexa area around where Pegasus is over on 7. He lives in Baser, so he's very local. And
Nice.
I think he's really going to be an asset. He's pretty gung-ho. I was pretty interested in getting involved with the industrial park down there. I'm trying to get the banking businesses from them. So
Right. No, very nice, Garrett. Very nice. You're a great ambassador for the city. I wanted to make a comment, hopefully, Chief Whittem hears this, in thanking him and his staff, and they overcame a huge obstacle with the flood. Everybody helped out, but you know what? They moved on. They made the best of a bad situation. So anyway, I wanted to say kudos to them, but I know everybody had a little hand in that too. On page 5 of 7 of the bills paid check report, there is a check. I just curious. There's a check for Union Pacific Railroad Company. What is that?
It's for the engineering and review of the Lake Street railroad tracks that we have to remove for the
Gotcha.
Edwardsville Connector Trail.
Gotcha.
So
Okay,
yeah,
it just,
and more is coming.
right,
There's
right.
another bill.
I just thought, you know what, I figured it was something, but I thought you don't know until you ask, so, perfect.
Yep.
Our trash contract,
Yes,
coming up soon, or,
it's done. There was we've approved it.
okay,
Yeah,
I
that's all done.
okay, gotcha.
There was a little bit of a hiccup, but we've received our first bill of, say, 22,000, and the actual payment to them is less than that because we collected less than that. So it's working as it is.
Gotcha.
One of the issues, very quickly, was they bill in advance.
Mhm.
Both contracts says we bill and pay in arrears. And so the way they did the billing, they suggested we missed a rate increase that we should have billed for January. So we worked that out, and we're kind of working out the case. It's a little new in the way they were doing business and the way we expected to do business, and I'm enforcing the contract. We pay in arrears. They bill us and we pay. We have a statement, looks like one of these, that goes with it, that this is how much we collected, no matter what this bill is, right? That we're giving it. Now, it could be less, and it also could be more. But in the end, it should work itself out as long as we're collecting.
Next meeting and next time, whenever you get to it, could you give us an update on the uncollected portion that,
Yeah, if you look in this packet,
is that on there?
yep, it's the,
Has that come down any more?
it is in your report, this February.
You caught me. I
did.
didn't get that. Sorry.
That's
Dang
fine.
it.
But take a look at it.
Okay,
It'll explain what write-off is
gotcha.
and
Okay.
what's currently being collected.
Say no more.
Yes,
Let me read my material.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am, it's
sorry.
there.
Shame on me, right? Tell on myself. Thank you to the department heads, staff, Chantal, everybody in the city of Edwardsville. Thank you for all your work. Our attorney, thank you, everybody. I know it's not said enough to everybody. I know days are tiring, long, weeks go by here. We're into February already. So thank you, everybody, for a fantastic job.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
No comment.
Okay. Well, we're gonna be out before 8 o'clock tonight.
Really?
It came to my attention recently, we have a $1,000 outstanding bill for Imagine, the event company in Bonner from the Potato Festival. So just gonna make a note to ask staff to get that taken care of if possible. And
They paid the bill they sent.
Recently?
Do you
we'll just
remember? Tell me the name of the company again.
Imagine events.
fine company.
They're out of Bonner Springs. They're just up K32. And so if we can get that knocked out, then we'll be squared away on that one. Other than that, have a great evening, guys. Valentine's Day is coming up. You're welcome.
Remember it? Don't forget the chocolates.